evening, everybody, and welcome to the Crest Autosport World Touring Car Challenge. I am your commentator, that's me, Andy Pawley. I'll be with you for the next good hour and a half covering the 3 races we got. The qualifying session coming up in 8 minutes and the rest of this practice session, which will, of course, take us through into tonight's proceedings. We are at the most beautiful track of SUZUKA. We're on the short layout, the national one. That's the smaller of the two. We're not on the GP. We do not go through the GP circuit. We cut short as you go from 130R. We're running, as always, the little hatchbacks this season. So Alfa Romeo 2018 is banned. You cannot run that car because after the update, it was mighty fast. Honda Civic got a few of those. Opel Astras, a couple of Megans. No Volkswagens currently running in this league. Peugeot 306, yes, we got 2 of those. Fraser Rostance is currently running that, and his teammate Alex Ward, leader of the CA2 category. Hyundai i30, only 2, but none in at the moment. And then everyone else is taking up the competition with the little Cupras. If you're interested, we're on the west layout, 2.15 miles long, 3.4 kilometres. There are 10 turns, 6 right, 4 left. Race room cost, £4.27. Previous winners, Alex Everett, who is not defending his championship anymore, so he is out. And Fabio Gil used to be a master of the Hyundai Elantra. He doesn't race with us anymore, so he is not running. Let's go over to the championship standings. Pavel's currently leading from Clough from Benny Norton. Drop scores were taking effect. Clough had a bad time out, didn't finish as high as he could have done last time out racing. And that cost him dearly. Benny Norton, Lee Horn, Stu Neal, Poddy Flack, Jamie Dory, Jeff Purkis, Jean Petra, not running tonight, Jean Petra, so he is going to... he was making his way up the table, but not any longer. Alex Ward, Rostance, Everett. There's Everett, he's in 12th. But it'll make no difference now because he's not competing. Butcher's not running. Ola, Craig Deeks, Shaw's, Plummer, Deany, Anastasios, Boki, Kirby, Kozlov, he's not running anymore. Paul Hans, that's the bright yellow. DHL Honda. Derek Neal, father to Stu Neal. Alec, he's not running either. Bill Campion, Carl Smith, Jamie Higgs, Portugal, Podriquez, and Stephen Stephen is also running as well. Stacking up the team's championship, Benny Norton is currently leading now on 9. Benny Norton and Poddy Flack on 958 points. 11 behind that is the Apex Predators. Then the Next Gen Racing Boys of Lee Horn and Jamie Dory, 106.50 behind. And then you've got Next Gen Racing White, which is the Peugeots, and that's the Alex Ward Fraser Rostance in 360. International Racing Team, unfortunately, is only Pavel now. So poor Pavel, he's going to be going down the order. Forza Honza, Shaw's User and John Petra, that will take a dent this time out because John Petra is not running. Jeff Purkis and Tim Johnson, and then you've got Derek Neal, Martin Kirby, Bill Campion, Craig Deeks. The CA category battle is hotting up, both within the CA1, CA2 and CA3. They are all split based on their ability to drive fast. So Pavel, Clough and Norton are leading the top 3. It's really going to be a 2-way fight now between Clough and Pavel, really, unless Benny Norton can just string up a section of good results. I think it's just going to be a 2-way fight to the season end. CA2, Alex Wards, this is his to lose. He's on 345 points against 235. It's Alex's to lose. And the CA3 category, Roy Plummer's on 206, followed by Derek Neal, followed by Bill Campion. That is very much still to play for in the CA3 championships. There's the calendar a week out, so SUZUKA should have been the 7th, it's actually the 14th. Nogaro will be the week after, and we will finish the championship at Spa. We'll finish it at Spa, basically, as it stacks up. So it's all getting a bit tasty at the moment. In terms of where it stacks up towards the end of the championship, there's only 20 drivers in tonight. A few drivers just aren't racing. It's that midpoint of the season. Cheltenham races are also on, so I suspect some of them have gone to the races as well, which means that there's always things to play for. One of the drivers are regular in the commentary box of Russ Butcher. He's got his MOT test today. He's doing his MOT testing license or something. So he's not running as well. That's a shame. Jean Petra's not running. So we've lost about 5 of the regular drivers who would be here, but they will be back next week, which will make it really exciting as we go into the final 2 weeks of the season. But over to tonight with 2 minutes 51 seconds to go. Fraser Rostance has set the early pace, a 1:21.174, but he's not fastest in Sector 1. At the moment, he's level pegged with Stu Neal. They both hold a 37.176, but Fraser Rostance is currently on that lap. He's in that sector. He needs a 37.4. Yeah, he's not going to do anything from that as we go to him. He is the fastest in Sector 2 on a 19.806. Second fastest. There aren't many in the 19s. Seconds fastest is Stu Neal, and Stu Neal is fastest in Sector 3 as well, 24.063. Cloughy's just put himself into third, but he's now fastest in Sector 1 of 31.7 of 301, 37.105. But again, he's not the fastest in Sector 2. He's got at least 1/10 of a second in Sector 2, and in Sector 3, yeah, he's got at least 2/10 of a second he's got there. He could make up if he wants to be basically top spot. At the moment, Fraser Rostance is the current fastest on a 1:21.174. Pavel Makonin, that's who we're watching now, is currently 4th fastest. He's in this sector as it stands at the moment. He's provisionally 4th fastest, because he's coming up as NA on the board, so I don't think he is 4th fastest. I just think the game's having a bit of a moment. Shaw's Use has just gone fastest in the first sector. 37, no he hasn't, it says a 37.2, but it isn't. The game's a bit late, so 37.1 is the fastest in that sector, which is Michael Clough. So, yeah. He hasn't got his teammate tonight in the 52, so he's going to struggle, I think. He hasn't got ballast on board. Would I put my 50p on him? Yeah, probably I would. Again, he's fastest in Sector 2. He's gone fastest in Sector 2. Sector 3 at 24.036. But he's got to find a 1/10 of a second in Sector 1. He's retired with 29 seconds to go. The only ones out really are Fraser Rostance, who is going fastest, and a new fastest lap. And he gained it all in Sector 2. He's the fastest in Sector 2 by at least a 1/10 of a second as it stands at the moment. He's on a 19.898. Shaw's User, 19.917. Yeah, nobody else is in the 19.8. So Fraser Rostance is on for a podium position, is on for a top spot if he can hook this up. So the time at 1:21.108, do I think that's going to be fastest? I don't know. Pavel Makonin's gone off the road, so he's gonna struggle, I think. But again, he doesn't have his teammates, so yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. We're going to see who's going to go out first. So Pavel Makonin, there goes Fraser Rostance. We're going to stick with Fraser Rostance at the moment. He was the fastest in the practice session. He was in the 121s, low 121s. So the question is, can he hook this up now? Can he get himself onto that provisional pole position? Pavel Makonin is right behind him. There's Pavel, he's in the 55, so Pavel's going to follow him through, basically, to try and get a leapfrog from the car in head. Fraser Rostance really needs to be a bit cleverer here, I think. He just wants to get on with the job at hand, which is why he's going for it. But the problem is he's going to give a toe to the man behind. He's going to give a toe to Pavel. Does he really want to do that at this stage? I don't think he does. But the problem he's got is if he doesn't do it, if he's first out on track. So, yeah. as he comes. It's going to be tricky for him. It's going to be tricky. So he's going to have to get going, really, if he wants to get this done. But Pavel's carrying 50 kilograms on board that car. So Pavel behind is going to want to get as much. It's an uphill start as well, so they're going to struggle as you go into a hairpin. Here he goes, Fraser Rostance on his first flying lap. It goes round to the left, and then we basically go into a hairpin. So it is a long drag, effectively, to what is turn 2. As they hit the brakes down the gearbox, they'll go through the long right-hander. It's effectively one big long corner. You go right, followed by another right. He's on sector 1, 21.9. You're looking for in the 30s. Will he be fastest in their sector? Yes, he will, because he'll be the first driver through that sector. Oh, that lap's abandoned. That lap is 100% abandoned as it stands at the moment, as we now join SUZUKA, who's going to be coming round to complete his first provisional lap. This is the out lap. He's got to go round. He's going to get himself a banker. As Ola goes fastest, but a 38.187 won't be fast enough. Lee Horn is travelling faster. So is Benny Norton. Benny Norton's travelling faster. So Lee Horn is fastest on a 37.375. But the fastest man in that corner is Benny Norton, a 37.5. So we'll follow Benny Norton through into sector 2. What can he do? Fastest again, a 57.555. On the board, he's looking for that 1 minute. What's his times going? He's going to cross the line through the left-hander. Then it's the long drag up to the start-finish straight. It isn't on the GP circuit. Ola Johansson fastest, followed by Lee Horn, but I don't think it's going to be good enough, because Benny Norton is going faster, crosses the line first, 121.786, provisional pole position. Michael Clough is getting up some speed here, but he's not going quick enough. He's not going fast enough. That's the problem he's got. Followed by, that's Ola. What can he do from here? Rodrigo Portugal crosses and only good enough for 9th. Fraser Rostance is on a bit of a flyer. 1/10 of a second, 37.387 in sector 1. He's got to get a good sector 2. He has been pretty mighty here. Benny Norton's fastest in that sector on a 21.0113. But we have seen lower than that. We've seen a 118.898 by this man here. He's not fast enough. He's not fast enough. He's not fast enough. A couple of improvements there from Lee Horn. He's gone a bit faster. He's improved in his sector 1 time. Currently second fastest. 0.08 a second off provisional pole position. I don't think Fraser Rostance, unless he can pull something out from the bottom of the bag here, he'll get himself somewhere in the middle second. He's gone second, but he's made it up in sector 2, but in sector 3, but he's got to really sort out his sector 2 time. It's nowhere near for Rostance. He's 0.3 of a second off. Michael Clough currently fastest in sector 1, 37.366 on the last lap. Equally, Jeff Purkis has also pulled about a 37.3. He's currently in 6th position. Alfa Romeo for Purkis. Loses all that time in sector 3. He's 0.2 of a second down in sector 3. He actually lost 0.3 in that sector. So that's compromised him. Alex Ward, this is Roy Plummer. So Alex Ward goes fastest on a 121.786. The first driver to tickle the 19.9s in sector 2. Will it be fast enough? I don't think it is. Roy Plummer gets himself into the provisional position of 14th. 20 drivers in tonight, 4 not run, 13th. There we go, 3 left to go. Lee Horn is following really closely his old buddy there. The question is, can Lee Horn get anything from here? He's getting a tow. He's got ballast on board this car as well, so that will be important for him. 9 minutes left of this. He's lost it. He's lost it. That's game over. He was 0.07 of a second up. Pavel Makonin is in the 121.411s. He hasn't really... there's still time to be had. There is still time to be had. He is the fastest driver in sector 1, but he's not the fastest driver we've seen so far in the practice session before. So he's done a 37.194. He's had a tow. He has had a lovely toy. This is Roy Plummer down in 15th at the moment. He is improving 1.2 seconds off provisional pole position. If he can keep this pace up, he will improve into 13th, which is quite surprising because that's where Shaw's User currently is sat at this time. So I am surprised Shaw's is down there, but Alex Ward, if he can get second, will be his highest qualifying position this season. There's Fraser Rostance in the number 7. Pavel Makonin going faster and faster. He is purple sector 1, 37.137. He's 5/10 up on his own best, basically. 57.164. We've lost a driver, 19, or Rob South. No, we've lost a driver with only 19 left. Pavel Makonin, he's got 50 kilograms on board that car as well. It's this sector where he's struggling to gain pace. Question is, can he get an improvement? Yes. Yes, he can. A 1:21.251. 5/10 of a second faster than second man Alex Ward. That is going to be mighty to beat. But Poddy Flack, he's improving on his own personal best. He's currently in 10th. If he carries at this current rate, he'll put himself up between Perkis and Neil. Not really seen the raw pace of Neil yet. The question we are asking ourselves, or we have to be asking ourselves, is are they all purposely going slower to shave the ballast? Whereas Pavel Makonin has just gone, I'm just going to go as fast as I want. Because the only other driver in the 19s in Sector 2 is Boki, who's down in 12th. And in the practice session, we saw a number of drivers in the 19. That included Benny Norner. Fraser Rostance, I think, is playing the game now as well. Perkis, Horn, yeah, I think a lot of the top drivers, because of the competitive nature, have all decided to sacrifice their qualifying in order to lose ballast in races 2 and 3. It's one of the many tricks that they can do. Pavel because Pavel Makonin is now the benchmark. Now that Alex Everett is not racing, Pavel Makonin is the benchmark. He is an esports driver, which is why he's got his own name on the side of the car. So he is the barometer. And in order to beat him, they're gonna have to play the team game. They're gonna have to think about the long game strategy, because it's very hard to beat Pavel on raw pace. As Boki currently he improves himself 9/10 of a second, puts himself into 9th position. Again, like I said, he's the only second driver in the 19s, so I think there is a bit of ballast shaving going on here, to be perfectly honest. Rodriguez, Portugal, will put himself into currently 16th. All 19 drivers are on have all set a time. Only Plummer and Lopez have not set are in the pits. They're the only drivers in the pits. That's what I meant. With 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining of this qualifying session. Pavel Makonin is currently provisional fastest, followed by Alex Ward, Benny Norton, Fraser Rostance. That is Benny Norton. He's going a bit faster. He's improving on 2/10. If he won't be improving that much, that's going to ping him a nice big penalty. And that's lap invalidated. So he won't get that. That's Stu Neal. The game's waiting to catch up. There it is. He's improving. He's down in 7th position. If he can keep this pace up, he'll put himself into provisional 2nd. No, he doesn't. 25.104. Yeah, I think he shaved off some lap time there. Michael Clough is back. So Michael Clough left and came back, so he's back in. So at the moment, Michael Clough has not set a competitive lap time, as it stands at the moment. Craig Deek following him now. He's improved 1.2 seconds off provisional pole position. Personal best there for Rob South, down in 17th. He's done a 20.694 in that sector. This is Fraser Rostance. He was fastest in practice, not against Pavel. He wasn't a 121.5. There's Ole Johansson. Also gets the setups from Lee Horn and Jamie Dory, who is not who's not racing tonight, which is a bit of a shame. So it is effectively one-man bands tonight. But Ole Johansson, he gets setups from Lee Horn, and so they kind of share them. That's Paul Smith, bright yellow Honda. He's done a 37.7 and a 57.8. Fraser Rostance is fastest in sector 2, 19.906. Didn't see that on the board, but he's coming up. He didn't really go any faster. He's in sector 2 now. He's in a 19.977, 37.5. Yeah, he's not fast enough. At the moment, Fraser Rostance isn't fast enough. Paul Hans puts himself into his best provisional qualifying position this season. That is good enough for 7th. 2 minutes 55 to go. Ole Hansen was helping out Lee Horn earlier in the session, which is why Lee Horn is up in 3rd position. Lee hasn't really improved. He has equalled his best in Sector 1, 37.5 for both of those, but Ole Hansen is going a bit faster. There's quite a lot of drivers in Sector 1. It's quite busy at this time. He's currently down in 11th. If he can keep this pace up, he'll stay 11th. Just outside that top 10 for the reverse grid of race 2. What can he do here? What's Pavel Makonin doing? Pavel is going faster. He's just shaved off another 1/10 of a second in Sector 1. Sector 2, he's 0.05 of a second up. He's absolutely flying at the moment. So he's got maybe he's just lost the weight in the car. Maybe he's got no fuel on board on that car. And that's what he's doing, because he's got raw pace, you see. So to get it on, 121.187, I believe he'll retire immediately to the pits. If he doesn't, he's still going to go for another lap, and he's still got fuel on board that car. But he's just extended his provisional pole position to a 121.186. Fraser Rostance is 0.2 of a second behind, followed by Lee Horn, who's a further 2 seconds. So at the moment, the top 3, Pavel, Rostance and Horn, are just in a league of their own. But again, I don't think we've seen the full potential here of Benny Norton, Neil, even Alex Ward, I don't think we've seen so far. So there's still a bit to play for. But Pavel Makonin's not going faster. This is Stu Neal, currently in 8th position. He's improving, but again, they could be doing long practice runs here. There's only a minute left of this qualifying session. This will determine the positions for race 1. So, yeah, it's going to be tricky, I think. It's going to be very, very tricky. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out, as always. The question is, who is going to be victorious? It's 30 seconds remaining, and I don't think anybody is going to be beating Pavel Makonin at this time. I think Pavel is just in a league of his own. He's turned up, he's committed, and he's just got the job done, which you can't really ask any more of him. He is the yardstick, and so everybody wants to beat him. So there currently is your provisional qualifying results. So your provisional qualifying results, as I said, Pavel Makonin, he's in a league of his own, followed by Rostance, Horn, Ward, Norton, Perkis, Hans, Neil, Yusa. I think Neil and Yusa are playing a game. Where is Anastasius, Boki, Ola, Poddy, Cloffy? I think Cloffy's playing a game down in 14th as well. So I do think there's a little bit to... I don't think the story is quite unfolded yet in the way that it's panned out, because I can't imagine that those drivers are that slow. Not when we saw them in the practice session. So I don't think those drivers are that slow. I just don't think we've seen I don't think we've seen their true pace yet. So I think there's a bit of a long game going on here between each of the sessions. It will be interesting to see how that pans out. As always, I will be here for the next about an hour. It's about an hour. To take you through the racing of tonight. I'm your commentator, that's me, Andy Pawley. I've been here all season, and I am here tonight to take you through the Crest Autosport World Touring Car Challenge. We are at the beautiful SUZUKA. That's not the date, but it could have been last week. They're the little cars we're running. We are running on race room. We do run ballast in race 1, and then the ballast is then reset for races 2 and 3, depending on your qualifying positions. We're on the West layout. It is 10 turns. It is £4.27 on race room. It is 6 right and 4 left. It's going to be exciting. Slider UK, are they targeting 10th? Yes, I think they are. We've seen this before, because as I was saying earlier, Pavel is an esports driver. He's won an esports competition, and he's got his name on his own car in the game, which you have to be of a certain caliber and level to do that. You can't just put your own skin on a car. So Pavel runs under his own livery. He is mighty fast as a driver, and he's consistent, and that's the key. Pavel is consistent. He consistently finishes race 1 in the top 3 and races 2 and 3 in the top 6. So yes, I think there's a little bit of targeting going on there. I think they've purposely dropped their qualifying positions in order for them to be able to basically lose the ballast for races 2 and 3 and try to maximise their points gain. That's what I think they're doing, personally. Top 10 reversal, that's a bit trickier, because statistically you want to finish each race top 5. That's what you want to target, top 5 in each race. And that can get you to the championship without winning a race. Everett has shown that on a number of occasions. He did win a couple of races, but you want to be top 5 finish. Pavel McConin has just been lucky. Well, not lucky. Race 1, he's been absolutely storming in race 1. And he's just been able to carry that speed. Now, you've got the likes of Fraser Rostance. If you watched last week, Rostance didn't have the best of weeks. He was very tippity-tappity last week. I think the anger got the better of him, and that slowed his raw pace down. But if he can have a good result in race 1, I think he'll have a good race 2 and 3. So, yeah, it's tricky. It's a tricky question. I don't think they're going after race 1. I think they're going after losing the ballast to maximise their finishes for race 2 and 3. Because I don't think they can beat Pavel on outright pace. I don't think they can do that. He's running around with 50 kilograms on board, and he's just running around with 50 kilograms. They could just be slow as well, but in the practice session, we had the likes of Stu Neal, Benny Norton, SUZUKA, and Michael Clough, all in Sector 2 in the 19s. In qualifying, they only barely made the 20s. So they're a second off pace, and yeah, for me, there's no way you can be a second off pace if you're not playing some form of tactical game. So that's what I think. Predictions for race 1. If Fraser Rostance can clear Pavel McConin within 2 laps, Fraser Rostance for the victory is where I'd put my money. If, and this is the big if, you've got the likes of Norton, Lee Horn, SUZUKA, Stu Neal behind him. They're going to be carrying some weight. They're going to have to make progress fast. It's a classic track. It's hard to pass at. It's not like these new tracks with wide open spaces. If you make a mistake here, it will cost you. It really does cost you. So only time will tell if they've played the right game, or if Pavel McConin is just going to, this man here in the 55 has done an absolute blinder all over again. We will find out in 60 seconds when they go racing for race 1. This is race 1. We have 2 other races coming up tonight, which will be exciting. It's a classic touring car. There's 20 drivers in, as always. We will be here. I say we. I'll be here between the races, as always, and I will bring you the absolute best in action and replay analysis, as always. But we have got 30 seconds to go for the first 15-minute race of week 6 of the World Touring Car Challenge, hosted by Crest Autosport. And it is 20 drivers in tonight, but the quality of drivers is absolutely sensational. Here we go. The question is, who is going to be top of the tree as the camera gets ready, as they all get themselves lined up for the start. And it's lights out. The engine notes rise. Everybody's ready, and it's lights out, and away we go. And who has had the perfect start? Has Pavel Makonin got that perfect start into turn 1? Yes, he has. He has done all he needs to do. The question is he going to do all the other stuff that he needs to do? He's going to find out through turn 1. Has everyone else got that sorted? Yes, they have. There's a bit of contact in the rear. The camera's gone bonkers. There it is. He's off the road, but they've managed to hold on to it. Absolutely sensational as they're all clambering through into that middle sector. The question is, have they sorted themselves out at the front? Have they managed to get everything done? Yes, they have. Pavel Makonin is leading Fraser Rostance. Oh, Fraser Rostance puts it on 2 wheels, but Stu Neal riding from the rear camera. You can see Perkis is going for a move, but SUZUKA in the 99. He hasn't got a flake in it, but he will soon. There he is, that yellow and purple Cupra. There he is in the middle as they all go down the gearbox into the hairpin. There, right behind Perkis, is getting crowded out by Boki. Boki's in the 25. Alfa Romeo there next to him is Michael Clough. He's already up to 11, started 14th, but Fraser Rostance is right on the rear end as Boki hasn't given up that chance yet. There is Boki in the 25. He is challenging Michael Clough. There is Clough. He's gone for a little brake make manoeuvre. He's trying to dummy him. The question is, has he opened up the door to Craig Deeks? No, he hasn't. Anastasios has run right in the 86 Honda. Right next to him is Rodrigo Portugal. A slowdown penalty for Stu Neal. Pavel Makonin is 0.2 of a second ahead at the lead. He's making hay like the wind. He's going to tick that box. Rob South is making progress as well. He's going to try and sail it up the inside. Well, I say the inside, it'll be the outside. Through 130R, this is an incredibly dangerous manoeuvre. No, he hasn't. He's hit the curb. That's going to cost him dearly. But in the front, you can see Portugal is side by side there with Anastasios. 2x2. Portugal will have the inside. He's the 55. Whoa, he's still side by side. As they come through, one of them is going to have to hit the brakes. Plummer in the background also fighting for his position. There is Plummer. He's side by side with Yola. Right behind that is Carl Smith. They've reset all over again at the front. Fraser Rostance is trying to close the gap, but there is Lee Horn. Riding on board now with Lee Horn. He's in 3rd position, don't forget. There is 2nd and 1st. It is Pavel Makonin by Rostance by Horn. This is 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And Rostance has to get going. He needs to get this done. Like I said, 2 laps. If he hasn't passed him in 2 laps, Pavel Makonin will slowly pushing back into Lee Horn. It will take something monumental to do that. But Paul Hans in that bright yellow DHL car, he is in his highest position so far this season, so he is going to really want to hold on to that. Lee Horn, 121.420. Lee Horn is on it. SUZUKA is making target. His Perkis is his target. There's Perkis in the 55. He's going to go up the... Oh, he's going to go on the inside. He hasn't, but he's going to run wide. The question is, has Perkis held on to that position? There is Perkis in the 55. Ooh, SUZUKA slows the car down just enough, but that has allowed Michael Clough right at the back of this pack. He's in 10th. There is 9th, 8th, 7th and 6th. Now will come the question. Slider UK, does this man go fast as Poddy Flack has let him through? Poddy Flack has just opened that door. Yeah, they all run together. That's what I was saying. There's a little bit of team games going on here. Boki's having some internet issues there. He might need to pay the bill. Rostance is side by side. He's making progress against Pavel Makonin. So this is it. Rostance now needs to get this done in the next lap. If he does not get it done, his odds on of going down from winning this race to 2nd, his odds of winning this race go down by 10%. It's actually 10.934%, but that's specific. He's got to get this done. He's going to really struggle, but he has to get this done. Pavel Makonin is struggling as he comes out onto the start-finish straight. You can see the field in the background. Look how much more speed Rostance has. He rides onto that front camera now of Rostance. He's all over the back of the Cupra. He can smell the octane through the left-hand side. But Pavel is just so much confidence. He has more confidence there. Rostance just needs to set him up, just needs to pick his manoeuvre and then go for it. Rostance is going to come under the back now of Lee Horn. Lee Horn's in third position in that Honda. In the background, Perkis is going to attempt to go up the inside of SUZUKA. SUZUKA's in the 99. Their 55 is Perkis. It's 2x2. Oh, he's put it on two wheels. That's allowed Michael Clough to go up the inside. Does he get it done? Oh, there's contact. There's contact between the two drivers. We did get that on. We'll look at the replay analysis. The question is, Perkis is going to have the inside. Perkis has hit the brakes. Clough is going to have to give him enough room. Just a little bit scruffy there. Perkis can push him a little bit wide, but Clough is going to have to get this done. They're still side by side. Perkis is on the left side. He's in the Alfa Romeo. On the right side is Michael Clough, and Perkis just hasn't let it go. He's up the inside. He's going to go late on the brakes. He needs to be careful. He slid into the side of him. I think he's had an accident all by himself there. He has. We'll have a look at that on post-race analysis. That'll be an interesting one to see. But I think Perkis there basically slid into him and made his own fault. So I don't think there's a lot he can argue, but it will be one of those for the stewards, I reckon. Benny Norton is now on the back of Alex Ward. Alex Ward, and there is Stu Neal in the 34. The front three are all holding stations. At the moment, there is Benny Norton. Here is Stu Neal. Right behind that, Paul Hans in 7th. Paul doing a stellar job for the back of the team. There's Ole Johansson. He's fighting Gabriel Lopez. Lopez is in the 28. It is Seat Cupra versus Seat Cupra. It is 8 minutes 50 seconds to go. It is 1/3 gone, 2/3 to go. There's Rob South. He's going to see what he can do from here. He's the only Hyundai running because his teammate is not running tonight. He's got Roy Plummer right up his rear end, riding on board now with Rob South. And there is Plummer. Plummer's making progress. He's down in 19th position at this time. So he's going to want to try and extend and get some points. He's hit the brakes there. Ooh, he nearly makes contact with the back of Rob South. He doesn't get the car stopped quick enough, and he's gained time, but not enough, I don't think. But Perkis is right on the back of Body Flak. There's Perkis in the 55. That's Scooby Sim Racer. He does stream on YouTube, so you can check him out. Get on our Discord. Click the thing. Pavel Makonin, 1:21.261. Pavel Makonin has gone faster. Again, he's extended his lead, but not enough. He's dragging Fraser Rostance along with him. Benny Norton is right on the back of Alex Ward. There is Alex Ward. He's in 4th position. We're riding on board with him now. Right behind that, there is Benny Norton. There is Stu Neal. They're all just stuck. Paul Hans has run wide. Paul Hans has run wide. That's allowed SUZUKA to get right up his rear end. So Paul Hans was in 7th position. It would have been his highest finishing position this season so far in race 1. He's in that number 9 DHL. Gabriel Lopez, slow down penalty. SUZUKA, slow down penalty. There is Michael Clough, currently 9th fastest with Body Flak right behind him. I don't think they're going to go any faster from this position unless they can get past Paul Hans. But to get past Paul, they're going to have to push it. Perkis is attacking Poddy. Perkis and Poddy. Perkis is in the 55. Poddy is in the Astra. It's like two Bill and Ben Plowpot men. It's Perkis and Poddy. Question is, who is going to be 10th? Because if Jeff Perkis can get himself into 10th position, he will be on the start of race 1. Ooh, it is very close on the brakes there. He did very well not to rear end everybody else, but that's compromised. He's got a much better speed now. Perkis is all over that rear end there of Body Flak. As we go to the rear camera go on board with Perkis. He is going to go for a run, and he just needs to keep it nice and tidy. He doesn't need to do heroics here because Boki's going to follow him through. Goes through the left-hander. They are nose to tail. Poddy's getting a lovely little push, a little draft bump there from Perkis. Perkis, he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the overrun or the speed to be able to go past. So Poddy once again holds off that lap. Yola and Gabriel are going after it. So there is Ola. He's in the 91. He's fighting Gabriel Lopez as Portugal Rodriguez goes off. It wasn't Portugal. It was Gabriel Lopez. Sorry. Gabriel Lopez in the 28 has gone off on a little bit of a run there. So he's holding on to that at the moment. 5 minutes and 51 seconds to go as we jump back to Michael Clough in 9th position. I think this is the old switcheroos going on here. I think they're trading, yes, it's tactical switch. There is a tactical switch here for Cloughy. So Michael Clough has had a tactical switch with Shaw's user because he's going to now try and attack Paul Hans in 7th. Because Pavel Makonin is leading this race. Pavel Makonin is our championship leader. Fraser Rostance goes for new fastest lap, 121.5257, but I don't think he's going to really push anything here. Stu Neal's on the back of Benny Norton, but I think that's holding station. Fraser Rostance is going faster, but he's not catching him. Pavel Makonin is just doing all he needs to do now with 5 minutes to go. With 1/3 of the race left and 2/3 still remaining, it means that he's doing all he needs to do here. So Pavel Makonin and little mistakes like that from Fraser Rostance will just cost him little bits of time. He needs to slow down a little bit, I think. Well, not slow down so much, but he does need to go faster. I think Pavel Makonin has got this done. It's all going to come down to fuel loads. Oh, there's a little mistake there. A little mistake from Pavel Makonin. The race leader ran wide at the apex, at their hairpin, didn't clip the apex, and that's brought Fraser Rostance right back into this mix. There is Fraser Rostance riding on board. He is now hounding Pavel Makonin, and through the left-hander we go, and he's just got a much better drive. Pavel Makonin having to use more of the brakes than the man in front, and that means he just gets a much better drive. And as you can see, he gains and gains and gains and gains and gains and gains and gains. But then Pavel Makonin just he's just a wily old fox. The question is, he needs to stick up. He doesn't need to go wide. That's what he needs to do. To beat Pavel, he's going to have to really think outside. He's lost time. That swinging left and right has just lost him 0.2 of a second. That one maneuver of trying to send a dummy, 0.2 of a second he's lost. But can he make it up in Sector 2? He's closing the gap, but we'll watch that as it unfolds. Anastasios is on the back of Boki. There's Anastasios in the 86 Honda with Boki just ahead in the number 25. This is the battle for 12th and 13th position. Stu Neal, Paul Hans and Cloughy. Cloughy is on the back of Paul Hans in 8th and 7th position. We'll watch that as it unfolds. Stu Neal's back on the Benny Norton, but I don't think that's going to do anything. The attack there from Anastasios has been called off for the moment. This is the battle for a 17th position. In 18th position is that man there, Roy Plummer, in the number 8 yellow Seat. The 28 is Gabriel Lopez. Fraser Rostance is right again on the back of Pavel Makonin. As Fraser Rostance, can he go for the race victory? He needs to just hug the back of the car now. He's right on the rear end. There is the 55 of Pavel Makonin. The question is, can Makonin do anything from here? Rostance needs to go it. He's gone for it. How far ahead he is? He's going. It's one left, but he just doesn't have the drive. He should have stayed up the back of the car ahead. And once again, Pavel Makonin has defended another attack from Fraser Rostance. 0.2 of a second. He needs to stick behind him. He needs to stay behind Pavel Makonin all the way up the start-finish straight and go for the attack and force him offline, but he doesn't do it. But Benny Norton and Stu Neal, there's Alex Ward, they're holding station at the moment. As it stands at the moment, Paul Hans made a mistake on a previous lap and he has come off. Michael Clough is up to 7th. The question is, will Stu Neal and Benny Norton let him pass so he can take 5th position in race 1? That's going to be key. But Pavel Makonin has once again defended for the entire race. The odds on of Fraser Rostance getting the victory are slowly diminishing, lap by lap. He'll have this lap and one more. But this is what he needs to do. He needs to stay right on the rear end of Pavel Makonin up the start-finish straight. That's what he's got to do. He has to bump draft the man ahead. He's not going to get close enough through this sector. That's the problem. But he's trying to send him a dummy. But the problem when you send a dummy up this road is he doesn't get there. So he is now right on the bump draft. And he's got a much better drive now through that sector. He's not close enough. He didn't get enough drive out of sector 2. So this is it. Pavel Makonin, if he can hold on to this, race estimation at current pace says this is the last lap. It's going to be a do or die, and I think Pavel Makonin has done all he needs to do. Rob South is a retirement in the race. The rest of the field is holding station. Royal Plummer and Gabriel Lopez are still at it, though, in 17th and 18th position. They haven't let this battle go as they come on to complete what will potentially be their last lap. Roy's gone wide. Gabriel Lopez just went off into the weeds. Roy Plummer got that done. Alex Ward is doing an absolutely stellar job. Alex Ward is a race winner this season out at Laguna Seca. Right, Michael Clough has once again got past Paul Hans. So they're all trading station. I think Poddy's gone off, and that upset everybody basically. So Poddy is in 9th position. So that's gonna be tricky now because Paul Hans is in race 1 winning position. But Pavel Makonin is going to take the race victory. He just needs to keep it on the tarmac. He's absolutely defended stellar for the entire race. I say he's going to defend it. No, he isn't. He's going to get one more lap. There is one more lap to go. Paul Hans and Clough are all on the back of Poddy Flack. No, they aren't. They finished. Pavel Makonin is your race winner, I think. As Carl Smith. Yes, so Pavel Makonin is your... Unless they're still racing. No, I think they're just going for a victory lap. There is confirmation of your provisional race results. Pavel Makonin defended for his life and he takes the race victory with Fraser Rostance taking the fastest lap. Fraser Rostance wasn't just faster, but he had, like I said, he had a couple of times that he could take that position, but he didn't capitalise on it. It's a real shame for him. He drove a absolutely superb race, but Pavel just it's that experience. It's just that experience, which is why Pavel Makonin is your race winner. Followed by Fraser Rostance, Lee Horn, Alex Ward, Benny Norton, Neil Yusa, Poddy Flack, Clough, Hans Perkis. Then we had Boki, Anastasios, Deeks, Portugal, Johansson, Plummer, Lopez, Smith, and right at the end was Rob South. And that's how it stacks up. Race 2 is a reverse stack grid, as you would expect. Right, let's see where the camera is. Yeah, it's in the right position. Brilliant. Right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the commentary booth. It's a classic track, that is. Because it's a classic track, it's always going to create those classic type of races. It's really hard to pass at that track at the best of times. And Pavel Makonin, driver of that race for me, absolutely stellar job. He knew that he had to get ahead of Fraser Rostance, stay ahead of Fraser Rostance into the opening lap, and just defend. He let him close up in sector 3, and that's where Pavel was most at risk, was in sector 3. But he absolutely, Fraser Rostance just didn't have. He just didn't have the. How do I say this? He wasn't thinking the next corner ahead, I think, on that time. But it shows you the raw speed that he has. Now he just needs to have a good race 2. Stay in the middle. If I was Fraser Rostance, I'd stay in the middle somewhere of race 2. Just stay out of trouble and then capitalise in race 3 for a victory. He's got the pace in the car, as we've seen. So that pace is there for him. The question is going to be is whether he can now capitalise on that pace. So that's what's going to be interesting, I think. So race 2, I think, is going to be Michael Clough. I think Cloughy is going to take race 2 just because of the way the whole thing's set up. But he finished in, and this is what I was saying. So Cloughy's finished in 9th. Pavel finished in 1st. Cloughy has to finish in 1st, and Pavel has to finish lower than 9th, which I don't think will happen. I don't think Cloughy is going to finish low. I don't think Pavel's going to finish lower than 9th. And if that happens, it means that Pavel extends his championship lead. And that's the problem when you play with ditching weight, is that you've got to put yourself somewhere in the middle of the pack. And it's going to be tricky, I think. It's going to be tricky. I think Pavel just has the edge until the end of the season now. I think he's just got it. He's just got that pace in the car. But it's been an absolutely, so far this season, it's been an absolutely brilliant season. Pavel hasn't had all his own way either. He's lost his teammate. So at the moment, he is driving for himself, basically. He's on his own. So it makes it very exciting. Good evening. Hi, mate. Nice to see you. I'm not going to try and pronounce your name, predominantly because I will butcher it. And I'm not going to go ahead and do that because I'm not that bad. Right, we're going to jump into this lobby at the moment. Right, let's go across to... Let's load up the replays and let's have a little look what we got. So we only got 3 on the replay, unfortunately, because there was a lot going on and I didn't get time to hit the buttons. But this is the Fraser Rostand. So this is effectively what Pavel Makonin, he's just... Yeah, it's stuff like this, unfortunately. So if you watch the curbs here... So this is the curb here. That curb there. Now, if you take too much curb, it bounces the car. So too much curb here, the car bounces up. And Pavel seems to be able to... Now, it might be the Cupra. Someone might come on and tell me it's the Cupra. But Pavel seems to be able to ride those curbs a lot better than Fraser. So if we actually look at where Pavel goes... So there's Pavel at that point. And if you actually look... So if we go forward a little bit... He only gets a little bit more, and that's the difference. Pavel Makonin is going here. Fraser Rostand is going there. Now, it's only a fraction of racetrack that they're missing, which is this bit here. Is that bit there. That's the difference. But the end result is that. So, whereas Pavel was jumping the car that high, Rostand is jumping, whoops, that's the wrong button. There we go. Rostand is jumping that high. There's the gap. And if we wind it backwards at the start, he is that gap by the end. So he is roughly 1 car's width. There's the bump, there's the line, there's the difference, there's the bump. By the end, Pavel Makonin has broken that gap there. He's effectively got 2 cars width, 2 cars length on him. So it's going to be really, really tricky, I think. And that's what Fraser Rostand has to look at. He's got the speed in Sector 2, and in Sector 3, he can catch Pavel. The problem is that those tiny mistakes are costing him a 10th here and a 10th there. So he's probably loving it because he's going against, an esports driver there, and he does have that pace. He has that raw pace in the car, but it's costing him time. And at the end of the day, it's those things that will result in those little times differences. Now, this is the instance. I think this is the Perkis, and this is the Perkis. Yeah, so this is Perkis and. So they'd been contacting each other before. Yeah, there's, again, is there contact? Yeah, there's a little bit of contact there. It's a rough one, to be honest. So this ruling states, again, it's the camera angle. So the ruling states you have to be at the B pillar. Technically, he's at the B pillar. he goes in, there's a little bit of contact. That contact causes both cars to spin. The big loser out of that was Jeff Purkis. Do I think there's something in that? It would all come down to braking inputs, if I'm honest. We can't see the braking inputs. So when you look at the car nosedive, so Michael Clough has hit the brakes here, but which point he isn't at the B pillar. Purkis doesn't hit the brakes till there. He's kind of at the B pillar, which essentially means he's going for a late brake manoeuvre. But again, he then lets off the brakes there. That will all come down to braking. That will all come down to me. It's not really steering inputs for that one. It would come down to braking. It's a 50-50 one for that one for me. Do I think it's fair racing? Borderline. Do I think it's tough? Yes. Do I think either driver could have got out of it? Yeah, probably. It'll be one of those, really, to be honest. Purkis was on behind. Did Purkis lose out? No, he didn't. So it would be a warning, and at worst, one place drop would be the penalty applied. But again, you'd have to look at your braking. You'd have to look at the braking. We don't have access to that, so we can't see it. Which is a shame, to be honest. But it is what it is. That's how it is sometimes. This is the start of the... Yeah, so this is the start of the incident. So, again, this is the corner where cars are bouncing over it. So there's Purkis. He bounces over. That destabilises him. So Purkis is going to have to go to the outside. He's got no other place to go. That's what he does. He goes to the outside. Cloughy will then avoid him because he has to go to the inside. So Cloughy's now on the inside. Purkis is now is the burger between the buns. And then you've got Shaw's user on the outside. And Shaw's manages to get away. They're side by side. So the way that I read this, because the whole manoeuvre, so this is the start of the manoeuvre, and what we saw was the end of the manoeuvre. So for me, I would say that the whole incident is a racing incident, because at this point, Purkis could have got out the way. To be honest, he could have given Cloughy more line, but again, if Cloughy is going for the apex, turning the wheel, we only see it from that camera angle. For me, the same as the other incident that we just saw, they're basically the same. I would if it was me in the steward's box, I'd say stop being, give them a warning. You either both give them a penalty or you both give them a warning. And that's how I'd read that. But again, I don't have the data. I don't have any of the inputs that they can see that the stewards can go into. So, yeah, we don't see that, to be perfectly honest. So it's a tough one as always, because we only ever get to see what we see on the replay. We don't get to go back and have a look at all the different inputs of the drivers. So fairly incident-free, if I'm honest. But again, it's a natural spacing. Races 2 and 3. Race 3 will be very contacting, just because of the way the reverse grid is. I think that's going to be a very contacted sport. I still think Pavel Makonin is going to come out. He just has to finish 9th or higher, and he will extend his championship. And that's providing Cloughy wins. If Cloughy does not win, Pavel just has to finish in the top 10 and he extends his lead. And he's already in 10th, and he's already fast. So he just has to follow Fraser Rostance through, let Fraser Rostance do all the work, and basically take all the credit, is what I would do. But, you know, Pavel's a wily old fox. Fraser is a wily old fox. You've got Alex Ward ahead of that as well. And Fraser Rostance is the bottom at the moment of CA1. So Fraser Rostance is in this for the victories. He's not in it for the championship at the moment. He's in there to help his teammate Alex Ward in the CA2. So he's going to play into a mix. Stu Neal hasn't really found his speed in that Renault Megane, so he's only really out to help somebody else, but he's going to want a race victory. So yeah, there's a lot to play for in what's going to happen. So yeah, going to be interesting. Let's have a quick look on the chat. Neil, oh, nice to see you, Neil. Neil, he does do stuff, Next Gen Racing, I think Neil is, which I suspect you'll be supporting Jamie Dory, Fraser Rostance, Alex Ward, Ola, and there's one more that I can't remember, Perkis, and somebody else. So there's somebody else, and they all support them. So it's nice to see you on, Neil. Welcome to the last 2 races. Right, it's 1 minute to go, and we'll be going over to the garages. Live racing, as always. Predictions for race 2. I would put my 50p here right down on the man, Michael Clough. Michael Clough is where I'd put my 50p. 30 seconds to go before we start race 2. This is a top 10 reverse grid from the finishing positions of race 1. I am your commentator. That's me, Andy Pawley. Get ready for the racing. Michael Clough is on the front row next to Paul Hans, kept into 10th position. So Pavel Makonin has to finish, basically just has to finish 10th or above. And it's lights out and away we go. And Michael Clough, has he had a good start? Has Fraser Rostance managed to make any headway in the background? No, he hasn't. It is reset at the moment. But Paul Hans has been passed by Michael Clough. Now Clough can do no more. There is Poddy Flack. He's in the middle of the pack. He's in third behind that. Shaw's Usa. But where is Pavel Makonin? Has he made a place? No, he hasn't. He's in 10th as they're all bunching up into the corner. He's being very tentative through that first corner, but he has a championship to win. So he's thinking about the long strategic game here. He's got the fast-moving Jeff Perkis behind him in the 55. There's Perkis. Right behind that at the front, Shaw's is going to get past Paul Hans. There's Paul Hans in the number 9. DHL yellow. Audi that is actually identifies as a Honda. There it is. On the outside goes Poddy Flack. Poddy's going to go wider. How many places does he lose? 1, 2. 1. He just loses 1. No, he doesn't, because Stu Neal is right there as well. This is the battle for 4th. Poddy is in the Marquette. White Astra behind that, Stu Neal. But Craig Deeks is on the back of Portugal. Well, I say he's on the back. He's side by side with Portugal. There's the 55 of Portugal. Right next to him, there's the 79 of Craig Deeks. Whoa, he just gets the car stopped and rotated as Ola goes off in the background. Does that allow Gabriel Lopez? No, Lopez has gone off. He loses out to Plummer. Michael Clough, new fastest lap, gap by 1 second. Poddy Flack is now going after Paul Hans. Paul Hans is just trying to stay out the way of everybody. He doesn't want to get tied up here. He doesn't want to get himself in the mix. Oh, there's contact between the two drivers. Who's that cost? It's Stu Neal. Stu Neal has been cost. We did get that on replay. We will have a look, but how far? Pavel Makonin's up to 8th, so he will extend his championship lead. Poddy has just, I think, cost Michael Clough a whole host of points there. We did get that on stream. We will watch that back, but at the moment, Pavel Makonin is up. Stu Neal is trying to go around Boki. He's got a very second-hand looking Renault Megane. I say it's second-hand. I've seen plenty of Renault Meganes that look just like that. So he's got himself a brand new one. There he is in 12th in the 34. It's the black car, not this one, that one in 12th position. He's gonna have full damage. Rob South is on the back of Anastasios. This is the battle for 18th and 19th. There's Rob South in the number 5 Hyundai. He's attacking Anastasios in that Honda, the only Honda currently racing tonight. No, there isn't. There is another one. It's called Lee Horn. 2 Hondas in at the moment. Roy Plummer in the 8th position. He's going to try to want to get ahead of the CA1 current championship leader, so he's going to want to try and make some progress here. Ole Hansen just ahead of him. Benny Norton's on the back of Poddy Flack, but not making progress because they are teammates. 11 minutes 48 seconds to go. There goes Anastasios. Does he get this job done on Roy Plummer? Yes, he does. He ticks that box. Anastasios wants to get himself up into 15th position. If Anastasios can get into 15th and can hold it, he will be my race 3 winner, is what I would where I'd put my money, if he can lead into the second lap. But Benny Norton's on the back of his teammate. His teammate is not having a good day. He's wobbling all over the road, and there is Lee Horn, Alex Ward, Fraser Rostance. So Pavel Makonin, as I said, is following Fraser Rostance, and that's what he needs to do. He just needs to get maximum points from races 2. He doesn't need to go any faster, to be perfectly honest. And in race 3, he'll then have another big advantage because he will be effectively top 15 reversal. Boki and Anastasios are side by side. There's Anastasios in the 86. He's in 16th. He wants to get past Boki. Boki has won a race before in Crest Autosport. He's in the 25, riding now from that rear view camera. So he's riding on board. But Pavel Makonin is right on board. And this is what I was saying that he should have done. I can't even see where he's gone. There he is. That's what Fraser Rostance should have done. Just held on to the back of the man ahead, and then he would have been able to get past. But Fraser Rostance is going to defend for his life. What we don't know is if Fraser Rostance, the second Peugeot, not the first one, but the second one, equal machine, these 2 different drivers, same nationalities, both in white, yellow Peugeots of the number 7. Fraser Rostance in 7th. Is he going to defend now for his teammate Alex Ward, who is leading the CA2 category? Or because he has the speed, but he's also got ballast on board now. That's the other big problem. He's got 45 kilograms on board that car. Alex Ward's gone wide into the hairpin. That's going to cost him. Craig Deeks has managed to get past Rodrigo Portugal. He's the 55. So Craig Deeks in 12th, Portugal in the 13th. He's managed to get that done. But Benny Norton has the fast-moving Lee Horn right behind him. There is Lee Horn right behind him at the moment, riding on board with Body Flag. And you can see here from the back of Paul Hands the battles that are progressing at the moment. Michael Clough extending his lead. Benny Norton is side by side with Poddy Flack. No, he's not. He's on the back, but has that allowed Lee Horn to go? Pavel Makonin has got past Alex Ward. Now, I think Alex Ward let him go. There's just a bit of sim twitch in there. That was the graphics, not Pavel Makonin pushing the car. Alex Ward has been passed by these two, by Pavel and Fraser Rostance, but Alex Ward is not going to let this go. He's going to keep Pavel Makonin busy, I think. This is the battle for 7th position. In 8th is Alex Ward. In 7th position is Pavel Makonin. There he is. And there's Fraser Rostance. It is Peugeot, Seat Peugeot. 3 different cars, 2 are the same. Absolutely sensational stuff. With 8 minutes 38 to go. Down the gearbox he goes. 5th, 4th, 3rd, into 2nd. Flings it to the left through the hairpin. Back up the gearbox he goes. Into 2nd, into 3rd, into 4th. He'll go all the way to 6th and then into 5th. Absolutely magnetic stuff. The question is, can he do anything from here? Can Alex Ward keep his mate busy? Benny Norton is going to try to go past Lee Horner. So sorry, Lee Horner's got past Benny Norton through that hairpin. But Benny Norton's not going to let this go as he bounces over the curbs. What can he do from here? It's going to be absolutely tricky, and it's going to be very, very tricky now from this section if he can actually do anything, if he can develop anything from here. Michael Clough, fastest lap, 120.810, flashing on the board. I think Poddy cost him some time there. I think that's the problem. And Lee is just gaining so much more time through that sector. Alex Ward running wide, that's cost him. Gabriel Lopez is side by side with Carl Smith. There is Lopez. I must have damage to the car. But Carl Smith gets that job done. He's in the 25. Stu Neal is on the back of Paul Hands, that very second-hand Renault Megane. He's right on the back of that. Anastasios is attacking the back of Boki at the moment, but he's not close enough. He's 4/10 off as it stands. Pavel Makonin is side by side with Fraser Rostance. And again, Fraser Rostance, they're all being held up by Poddy Flack. Poddy Flack is the cork in the bottle, and the problem with that is it's allowing the other drivers to slowly but surely close in and close the gap, and Fraser Rostance is 45 kilograms on board that car, and he's going to struggle. So he's got to get this done. He's got to progress as fast as he can, and he's got to get a tow from Benny Norton, because Pavel He's just so much faster, but he's thinking of the championship game. That's why he's not sending any lunges into the middle of the pack, because if he does, it'll be absolute carnage, and one of them will go to the barrier, and that's the problem that they've got, that he's going to have. Fraser Rostance has gone defensive, but has that compromised him? Oh, Lee Horn! Lee Horn has gone twitchy. He's had a bum squeak time. How far has he gone? 7th position. And once again, that accident has allowed Pavel Makonin just to go up the inside of Fraser Rostance. So once again, Pavel Makonin is licking his chops. He's gone all the way, started in 10th into 5th, and he's just picking off people. One by one, lap by lap, he's just picking them off. It's almost like he has a Senna-esque aura about him. And as he approaches another driver, they just get out the way. But he's done all he needs to do. So Michael Clough at this moment will not be extending Pavel will be extending his championship at the current rate, because he's just picking them off one by one. But Fraser Rostance now has Lee Horn right behind him. So Lee Horn, who was running all the way up in 4th position, is down to 6th. He's lost an absolute truckload of positions at the moment. Pavel Makonin could be on for a 4th here if we'll keep that as it unfolds. Lee Horn has gone for it. He's gone up the inside through 180R, 130R, whatever the corner's called, and he's got the job done. He's got the job done. Fraser Rostance, what has gone on? Has he got damage? Has he got damage? No, all 4 wheels are pointing in the right direction. It's just, we've seen this before. We saw it last season. Now the question is Fraser Rostance now looking to drop a load of positions so he can maximise his race 3 opportunity? That's going to be the question, because Stu Neal's not going to go up the inside of there. That's just not going to work. Pavel Makonin's on the back of Benny Norton. Pavel Makonin is the man on the move. He's gone up the inside. He's thought better of it. He needs to be careful with that one. He's backed out, which is the right manoeuvre. I think if he'd actually carried that manoeuvre, there would have been a penalty. It would have basically been a push to pass, I think, or a tap to pass. But he's thought better of it, and great racing. He's gone, I'm just going to go for my championship here. He's dropped one off, but he is so much faster. Boki is being once again attacked. Anastasios is in 18th position. Boki is in 15th. Boki has a real chance here to get a race 3 pole position start and a race 3 victory, which Boki would be ecstatic with. But he just needs to think about his long game now. He's doing a 1:22, so he's 2 seconds a lap slower than the rest of the field. But, and this is crucial, in the 4 minutes that are remaining, at best, the gap between him and the other position is not that. Stu Neal and Alex Ward side by side. There's another massive melee in the front, I think once again caused by Poddy. They're all having a little bit of a melee in here. There's contact between those two. We got that on Buffer. Who's the big winner again? There's more contact between everybody. It's getting very scruffy in the middle of that pack. Pavel Makonin's down to 9th now. We only just caught the tail end of that, but we'll have a look. What is going on here? Absolutely. They need to have a think of themselves. Late braking manoeuvres going on there and all sorts going on. And it's just at the moment causing some bunching up in that corner. We'll have a look at the racing, at what happened at that post-race. But they need to think, so at the moment, I think the blocker actually is Poddy. So I think Poddy is the one who's at the moment causing the delay. So Lee Horn is back in the position that he started in, so Lee Horn could be on for a podium position here. So essentially, after that entire bunch of scrappy mess, they're all back to where they started about 2 minutes ago. And Michael Clough is 4.2 seconds ahead, and they're all holding each other up at the moment. So Poddy Flack's gone wide. Benny Norton's going to attempt to go in round Lee Horn. That won't work. Fraser Rostance is in the middle. Stu Neal is going to attempt to go up the inside there of Pavel Makonin. Is that going to work? One of them is going to have to give space. Just needs to be careful through there. Yeah, wasn't going to get through there. That just wasn't going to happen. So once again, Stu Neal in 9th position. He just needs to keep it a bit calmer now as it holds on. Lee Horn is up the inside of Poddy Flack. Poddy is defending as best he can, but I think it's with 1 minute 38 to go. It will be this lap, including the next one. I think it's going to be. I think it is just a matter of time rather than anything else. Boki is on the back of Johansson and fighting Portugal as well as that currently develops through this section of the race. The question is, what can he do here? But Boki will be on pole position for race 3 if he can finish here. So he just needs to think about that long game a little bit, I think, and go from there. Rob Stace is on the back of Anastasios. This is the battle for 18th and 19th. Rob South in that Hyundai is in 18th, and ahead of him is Anastasios in 17th. So, yeah, it's getting very tricky here in the field. There will be one more lap, including this one, and it will be all to play for. Do I think there's going to be fireworks? Oh, yes. I think there is going to be some massive fireworks between the two drivers. We did get that post-race. We will have a look at that and see what went on there as well. And that's pushed Benny Norton into there. Poddy Flack is now back with Rostance. More contact between those two drivers as well. Stu Neal, Rostance rejoins, and Pavel Makonin is back to 6th. Paul Hans is flashing his lights. I'm not sure why he's flashing his lights. He doesn't really have an option. I think it might have been a safe, an unsafe rejoin, but I'm not entirely sure what Fraser Rostance could have done then. But he's returned the position as he goes up the inside. What can he do here? Needs to hold on to it nice and tidy. There's Alex Ward. So he's going to finish in 10th position. At the moment, Paul Hans has run wide, so he's lost another one as well. Shaw's User is on the back of Michael Clough. Oh, yeah, because he's finished. So Michael Clough wins, followed by Shaw's User. Lee Horn is going to come home in 3rd position, followed by Benny Norton and Poddy Flack, followed by Pavel Makonin is going to extend his championship lead again. Stu Neal will bring the car home in 7th. Followed by Fraser Rostance, Alex Ward, Jeff Perkis, Paul Hans, Craig Deeks, Portugal, Johansson. Boki is going to be your race 3 pole position sitter. That's the man I put my 50p on to win. He's got raw pace. I've seen it before. He just needs to keep that consistency. And he's only 1.4 seconds slower than the other race, than the fastest lap. So, do I think he can do it? He finished 24 seconds behind. Yeah, I think he can do it. I think he can do it. If he can have a good, clean race, good, clean couple of laps, make at least a 2-second gap, by lap 3, I think Boki can take that win. Michael Clough, confirmation of provisional race winner by provisional fastest lap. And we will be reversing the top 10. There's many, many talking points in that race, as you can see. We will, of course, go back and have a look at the post-race to see what happened. As always, we do catch these things on replay, and we did. So we've got lots of replays to look at in the next 4 minutes. Yeah, very tricky race, very, very messy race in that. One point there was just braking going on everywhere, so it's tricky. It's tricky. It is touring car racing as always, but again, there are some games being played. So we'll have a little look at that as always. Am I going to get booted out and then have to rejoin? Yes, I will. This does tend to happen, as you would expect. So we will wait for that to rejoin, and then we will jump in and have a look. But yeah, it's getting very, very messy at the moment. So they just need to slow it down a little bit, and I think it will sort itself out. Race 2, I think, is going to be... Race 3 will be very action-packed. Just imagine touring car, a normal touring car race, last one of the season, and that's what we're going to get. And that's the easiest way I can put it. Right, let's have a quick look over at some of these replays that we've got. So this is the Lee Horn and Poddy Flack one. This was the last of the race. So if we go through this, there was contact between... Yeah, yeah. So the apex, whoops, I don't know what that does, but the apex is here. So he really needs to be turning. Lee is going to turn to the outside, and he just goes straight. And then Lee turns in, and Poddy has an accident all by himself. Yeah. Again, you'd have to look at steering inputs on that. Do I think there's a penalty? It's a tough one, really, because driving standards there was not good. Lee Horn won't get a penalty, in my view, because he didn't do it. He had nowhere else to go. What's he going to do? Poddy might have had locked his brakes, or something might have happened with his brakes. If he did, then yeah, there's no penalty for me for Lee Horn at all. Poddy be driving standards, because the only person he upset there really was himself, is the way I read that. But again, you'd have to look at driving inputs, and then following that, you then had Poddy's making the turn. Yeah, and he's again, that's very scruffy between those two. Just again, you'd have to look at inputs on that, because that's the corner and that's the corner. He's at, oh, I got the wrong word, it's that one. Yeah, he's a front, and according to the rules that are set, is that he has to be basically, I think it's past the B pillar at the front wheel, and that's where he is. He makes contact, so there's nothing there for Rostance, I would say. Rostance then bumps the curb, that puts him off. Yeah. That one would be, unfortunately, I think I would believe would be a penalty. He's at the car. He's at the point that is defined in the rules for overtaking. So unfortunately, yeah, there would be a penalty there. Is how I would read that for me. Now, where was? Is it this one? I think it's this one. So yeah, that's how I'd read that. I'd read that as a penalty. And again, this is a penalty as well. I don't really. So they're 3 wide at this point. But again, you'd have to look at where Paul Hans was. Now, that's Paul Hans, but if we look on this camera angle, they are effectively level with each other. So the problem is that Poddy comes off the corner and he's going on a trajectory straight. Stu Neal is there, Paul Hans is there. So Poddy needs to go into that, basically into that corner. Now, if he held the inside line all the way to the corner and then made the turn, one of the others under the rules would have to break out, But he doesn't. He makes contact with Hans. Hans makes contact with Neil. Bing, bang, wallop. And, yeah, that's that. So if Neil does submit a penalty, there is a penalty. Unfortunately, that one's pretty clear-cut. There was space on the right, and he went straight. The car was alongside of him. It's a pretty clear-cut one, to be honest. For me, on that one, I don't think there was anything in that one. I don't think there was anything in this one. I think this was Rob South. Oh, that was that one. Yeah, there was nothing really in that one. We saw that one before. And is this the other Rob South one? No, it's the same thing. Okay. So, yeah, just a bit scruffy. I'm stuck in warm-up. No, I'm not. We're in the garage. Good. So we've got 1 minute left to go. Again, as I always say, I can only ever see one camera angle. I only get to see one camera angle there from the entire evening. There's many other talking points about braking points, about overtaking, about, that's what the stewards are there for. That's what they have to decide. It's, I can't decide that. I can only go on what I have got in the commentary booth. Right, let's go back over to the race. Prediction for me is Boki for race 3. I am your commentator. That is me. That was me, Andy Pawley. This is race 3. It's the final race of the evening. Top 15 reversal grid. There's only 18 drivers in this race at the moment. But will Boki be victorious? It's lights out and away we go. And Boki has had the perfect start. He's in the 25, the Alfa Romeo, just going hell for leather up to 130R. The question is he going to be victorious? Is he going to take the lead into turn 1? Yes, he does. Boki now has to make hay. He has to be 2 seconds ahead as they all scrabble in the background trying to find space. There's Paul Hans. Oh, there's contact. There's contact. It's 3 wide into turn 1. They all managed to sort themselves out. It's 3 wide into turn 2 as well, which is actually turn 4. That will always happen through that sector in the opening lap. They've managed to sort themselves out just enough. Fraser Rostand's once again on 2 wheels. That man should be in a motorbike race tonight. He spent so much time on 2 wheels. Brilliant stuff. In the back, there's Anastasios. He's making progress as well. He is side by side now with Gabriel Lopez. Roy Plummer. No, Gabriel Lopez. There's Lopez. They're going to try and mug Plummer. Oh, that was a very, very late braking manoeuvre there. But I think Lopez will let Plummer take the lead. He really has to. Just ahead of that, you've got Podiflack and Lee Horn. These two. No love lost between these two. So the question will be, is the background there, you can see Roy Plummer in the number 8. He's absolutely closed that gap down. He's gone wide, but that's allowed Anastasios to nip up the inside of Gabriel Lopez. There is a car in the background, but it's not registering on the board. So there is a car in the back, but it's not on the board. So they are racing, but they're not registered. So Boki, new fastest lap of a 1:29.810. He's extending his lead now, so it's 24 seconds. In the background, you can see Paul Hans is side by side with Perkis. So is Alex Ward and Pavel McConin. Has Alex Ward, he's gone off. Is that Craig Deeks? That was a very unsafe rejoin there from Craig Deeks. Has that compromised anybody? No, it hasn't, but Ola Johansson is on the back of Boki. Those two need to work together in order to get away, but Craig Deeks is the bottle in the cork. There's Craig Deeks in that number 79 in 9th position. He's got Fraser Rostance behind him. There's the 99, that's Shaw's Yusa. He's going for a move up the inside of Rostance. He's not going to get around there he's gone round. There's a little bit of touching as everyone tries to sort themselves out. I don't think there was anything untoward about that. I think it was just Craig Deeks went into there a little bit slower, and that went on. Yes, correct, it is a tower glitch. The tower has glitched. So someone's running around at the back. I don't know who, but there is somebody. I think it's Carl Smith. Carl Smith is at the back. But this is Shaw's Yusa. He's in 10th position. He's attacking Craig Deeks, and he's got Fraser Rostance right behind him. Rostance finished 2nd in race 2. Pavel McConin's up to 7th, so he will extend his lead. Ole Johansson has new fastest lap, 1:22.735. He's right on the back. So is Portugal. Portugal's in 4th. He's in 4th. There's Perkis in 5th. So Perkis is the race winner. Carl Smith has just turned. Paul Hans just going absolute hell for leather in the background. Shaw's Neil. There goes Stu Neil on the side of Pavel McConin. Can Stu Neil get past? No, he doesn't. He has to hit the brakes. So it's reset all over again. Pavel's in 7th, and right behind that is Stu Neil behind that. Shaw's Yusa. That is the battle as it unfolds. There's Alex Ward. He is the cork in this bottle at the moment. Riding on board with him now. He's in 6th. He is defending. He's trying to attack Jeff Perkis ahead, and he's being hunted down by Pavel McConin in 6th. He's so close he can nail the package to him at this rate. It's DHL. He's got Yokohama tyres, but he's running in 7th. He finished 1st and 5th, and he wants a 7th. He will extend his championship lead at this current rate. There's Shaw's Yusa in the 99 as the moment. Boki is leading by 6/10. Paul Hans is 1.3 seconds behind. So the gap is increasing at the front. So Boki, with 10 minutes remaining, has a real opportunity to be another race winner in this season of the championship. Craig Deeks is side by side with Michael Deacon. It's not Michael Deacon, it's Deeks and Clough. Clough just gets that done. He just gets that done. Clough is flashing his lights at somebody, I'm not sure who, but he just gets it done. Craig Deeks now has Fraser Rostance right behind him, Benny Norton, and there is Lee Horn. Lee Horn is side by side now with Benny Norton. He's on the outside. These two give each other just enough room, and they've still got enough room, but Benny Norton is going on the inside. He's entitled to that piece of track. The question is he going to hold on to it? They're still holding together. Benny Norton is still going to keep it up the inside. Lee Horn still gives him room. Lee Horn hasn't given up the position. Poddy Flack and Anastasios in the background, they are going at it as well. Sensational stuff there from Lee Horn and Benny Norton, 2x2, side by side, absolutely sensational. Clough, I think this is the old switcheroo going on here. Yes it is. Michael Clough is up to 9th because his teammate has let him through, so he now gains a position. Alex Ward is up into 7th. He's a bit of a race 3 master here, so he has a real opportunity to get some space, get some speed and start going forward. The question is he going to go any faster, any quicker? That's going to be the question. We have less than 10 minutes remaining. Julia Hansen, 1.2 seconds. Michael Clough, Pavel, they're all now released. That's the key. Roy Plummer is on a DNF. He's maximised his points as it stands at the moment. So Michael Clough, another new fastest lap of a 1:21. There's Perkis on the side of McConan. He gets the job done just enough. McConan is carrying 50 kilograms on board. I think Jeff Perkis was a bit audacious on that plan, so I don't think there was anything in there between Perkis and McConan from our camera angle, but again we can only see it through one view. In the back of the pack there, SUZUKA, he's in 8th position. He is that 99 riding on board with him now. Poddy Flack has been passed by Anastasios at the back, but right behind that you can see there's Pavel McConan, there's SUZUKA. You've got Fraser, Alex Ward and Michael Clough are now going side by side. You have the 2 teammates followed by another 2 teammates. They are SUZUKA is going to attempt to go around the outside of Perkis. SUZUKA is the 99, the 55 is Perkis. Perkis is a race winner, so is Shaw's. Perkis is going to give him just enough room, 1 car's width, but he goes for the old switcheroo there. He goes for SUZUKA has gone for the old playbook manoeuvre, ticks the box, goes straight to page 100 and gets himself an ice cream. Fantastic stuff. Perkis now has got Michael Clough, and that manoeuvre compromised his exit speed, and because of that Perkis, where's Perkis gone? Perkis has now gone back. Clough has passed Perkis. Next on the target is Alex Ward. Alex Ward runs wide. Stu Neal is side by side. Stu Neal gets it done. Lee Horn and Benny Norton are still going at it. They haven't given up yet, so Benny Norton did exactly the same manoeuvre to Lee Horn the lap before, and he's just done it back to him. Brilliant stuff from those two. Right, Perkis is now side by side with Neil, so Neil's run off the road and Perkis hasn't left that go. That's allowed Alex Ward in the number 7, that is the Motul car. Perkis is in the 55, he's in the Alfa Romeo, riding on board with the Alfa Romeo now. There is Alex Ward. He's just got so much more braking. Fraser Rostand has joined the party. He's the 2nd of the number 7. So at the moment, the battle for 8th position is on. And this is playing fully into Boki's hands because Ole Johansson is in 2nd. Paul Hans is in 3rd position. Paul Hans is on for his highest result this season, but he's got Pavel McConan right behind him. SUZUKA is now got onto the back of Michael Clough and Portugal Rodriguez, but Clough is now on the move. Clough should get past Portugal. He's absolutely setting the timing screens alight here, lap after lap, corner after corner, and he's done that now as well. There's Stu Neal. He's got Alex Ward all over his rear end. Alex is in the number 7. There was Perkis. He was battling for that position, but he's just kind of set himself back. Stu Neal has run wide. He's run wide. How many go through? 1, 2, 3. 3 white cars all mug him. That one mistake, and he's lost out 3 positions. He's going to try and fight back, but he's not going to do that, and he's gone wide again. So now he's all the way down in 13th. He's just having a bad day. Fraser Rostand is now being attacked by Lee Horn and Benny Norton. It's got to be the tyres. Fraser Rostand's tyres must be hurting there. A little bit of a tap between those two. I don't think there was anything in that. But Fraser Rostand's must be hurting. His tyres must be going off. And it's the ballast as well that's hurting him. Perkis is attacking Ward as well. There's Perkis in the 55. Ward will have ballast on board. A little bit of a tap there. But Lee Horn had to hit the anchors there, had to absolutely apply the brakes to not rear-end the car ahead, and he managed to just stop it in time. But Michael Clough, fastest again. He's 3/10 off Pavel Makonin, who Pavel Makonin is 1/10 off Paul Hans. So it's all kicking off at the front. But we're watching the battle at the moment for 10th position as that unfolds. Boki now is is not in a position he needs to be. On the last lap, he did a 1:22. He's been in the 1:21. He needs to go faster. He needs to pick his pace up. Michael Clough is on the back of Pavel Makonin. These are the two championship leaders, first and second. They're both going to get past Paul Hans. Now, you get the feeling here. Whoever can clear these two will be able to hold on to it. But Paul Hans is just, and there's SUZUKA. So SUZUKA has just joined the party. So at the moment, Boki has gained 1.4 seconds in the last lap. There goes our race winner. He's led from start to finish, 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go. His saving grace will be these two here, will be Paul Hans and Ola Johansson. Pavel Makonin is being currently occupied with his championship rival, which is Michael Clough in the black number 33 Renault Megane. So he riding on board with him now. He's in 5th position. There is 4th, 3rd and 2nd. Boki is 1.6 seconds ahead. But as we ride now back from Ola, there is 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Paul Hans is trying to hold all he can. Pavel Makonin is going to go for the old switcheroo there. Is he going to keep it trying? He's gone defensive. He's gone for the attack. He's gone full send in here. Can he get the car stopped? Yes, no, yes. He went full bore send right through that corner. Gets it done. Pavel Makonin, absolutely sensational. How he got the car stopped was another league. He just did it. He went, I'm going up here, but 3 minutes 17 to go, 1.58 seconds. Ola has to keep Pavel Makonin busy for this lap, and the chances of Boki winning go right up. He's gone wide there, he's gone wide. Michael Clough has gone wide. Has that allowed Pavel Makonin the opportunity to take the race victory? He's going to have to make a serious play for this if he wants to get it done. It is all kicking off at the moment. This is the battle for 9th though. Lee Horn is still on it. We will go back to the battle. I am keeping an eye on it on the timing screens. Lee Horn is on the back of Alex Ward, but Pavel Makonin is once again being occupied by Michael Clough, and Ola Johansson is occupying everyone's time. And don't forget, Ola Johansson at Brands Hatch did exactly the same thing in race 3 for more than 75% of the race. He kept the rest of the field absolutely occupied, and that allowed everybody else to get away. Pavel Makonin has gone up the inside, but look at Paul Hans. He just checked himself out. Brilliant stuff there from Paul Hans. He knew what he wanted to do and he just did it. But that move from Paul Hans could just have cost Boki the win, the race victory. It's a 1:52 lap. He's got 2 laps, including this one, in order to take the race victory. Pavel Makonin will clear Ola Johansson on the next lap. That is a guarantee. The question is going to be, can Boki, 2 seconds ahead, out in front? There he is. He's all on his own. He's checked himself out. The question is he going to be checking himself into the plane, or is he going to be going on the boat? The question is, we have less than 1.5 laps to find out. Then it's going to be game on for the last lap. So this one that they're about to enter will be the last lap, and Ola Johansson is once again doing an absolutely stellar job of holding off the esports driver. But Pavel doesn't need to finish second. He just needs to finish ahead of Michael Clough. That's all he needs to do. So he just needs to think about that. In the background, Rodriguez and Horner going for it as well. But we're going to watch the Pavel maneuver. Oh, there's contact! There's contact between the two drivers. This is going to be very audacious through there. Pavel Makonin has gone up the inside, and that's caused the chain effect, and SUZUKA is the big loser there. So Pavel Makonin We've got that on stream. We'll have to look at that later. I think Boki is going to do this now. The question is, how far ahead can he go? How far ahead can Boki hold on to this? Michael Clough is side by side with Pavel Makonin. He's going to go up the inside. Pavel Makonin, I think, just let him go. Pavel Makonin just let him go, and they've given each other so much room here. They must be at the limit of their points. They must be somewhere near the limit of 40 points, because I couldn't see Pavel Makonin doing that for any other reason but worrying about his points. So Boki here, as Benny Norton and Stu Neal fight it out. I will keep an eye on Boki. We're going to follow Boki through because Pavel Makonin hasn't. Makonin has gone off the screen. Has he had a DNF? So, well, Boki takes the win. Boki takes the win. Boki is another race victory this season. Superb driver there from Boki. Michael Clough will take second position. Ole Johansson takes third. That man, Boki, needs to get on the radio to Ola and give that man a beer or some non-alcoholic beverage or a hug. Because Boki drove superbly, but Ole Johansson did everything to block the field for, again, over 75% of the lap. Paul Hans is in fourth, Lee Horn is fifth, Ward is sixth, Portugal is seventh, Perkis is 8th, Rostance is 9th, Norton is 10th, Neil is 11th, Deeks is 12th, 13th is Shaw's Yusa, 14th is Anastasios, Podiflak is 16th, Carl Smith brings the car home in 16th, Gabriel Lopez, Pavel Makonin disqualified. He ran out of points. He ran out of points on the last lap, on the last corner. So that's why he's had a disqualification. So Pavel Makonin will get 0 points for this race, but he'll still extend his championship lead. He will still extend his championship lead because of the differences between race 1 and race 2 against Michael Clough. So I do believe Pavel Makonin is going to be the race 2, will still lead the championship. But there is your provisional race results. As always, Boki, Clough, Johansson, Hans, Lee, Ward, Portugal, Perkis, Rostance, Norton, Neil, Deeks, Yorsa, Anastasios, Flack, and the Rax. Yeah, ooh is the big one. Yeah, 100% ooh for me. Again, we didn't see it on stream because I genuinely thought something must have been up with Pavel, because on that last lap, he just let Michael Clough go. He didn't try to fight him. He didn't try to defend. He just let him go. He literally just let him go onto the final lap, and Michael gave him enough room that you could put a boat in there. So it says to me both of them were maxed out on points, which meant they had nowhere to go. They had to be so careful. So yeah, it's a big one. It's an absolutely big one. And in Crest, they don't reissue points. That's the rule. So, and the disqualification, it's the responsibility of the driver to manage themselves. It isn't the responsibility of the people you're making contact with. It's the responsibility of the driver. So, I think it's a shame, as always, because I think it was set to be absolutely sensational. But that's how it is in racing sometimes. He won't be. He's not the first driver to be disqualified, and he won't be the last. Right. Let's have a look at what we got. I would, but it looks like the game is having a massive... There we go. Okay. So we did get some things on the race. I'm seeing if there's anybody in the chat. No. There's a couple of people waiting in the interview waiting room. So we'll go across to the interviews as always. Let's see if we can actually pick up the interview room before it goes. No, hang on. We're going to see if we can pick up some people. Hold on. As always, the room tends to go a bit funny as we go on to the Discord. Hang on, does that work? No, it doesn't. Let's try this one. Right, there we go. Right, let's see if we can go across and it works.
There we go. It works. As always, we have technical difficulties with these things. Those are the things that we see, and that's the way it is. So in the com box, we have Alex Ward. We've got Fraser Rostance and Lee Horn with us for today. It's the most drivers we've ever had. As always, guys, welcome to the commentary box. Please keep it clean, as always. Things happen. That's why we've got the stewards to report on. That's what they're there for, and that's why they exist. But I want to go across to Fraser Rostance first. Mainly about your race 1. You were absolutely on the move in race 1.
It really helped having no ballast. But I was poking away at Pavel, but I couldn't find a move that wouldn't end in disaster, I don't think, because it's the nature of the track. Like, you only need to bump slightly, and there's a lot of gravel and walls and stuff. But yeah, it's a great race. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I've enjoyed all 3 races. It's been some awesome battling.
Your raw speed in qualifying, I think that's your highest placed qualifying. Am I right?
It could be.
I think it's your highest placed qualifying. But you've always been tipping on that raw speed in that car, and it seems to be when you settle into it and you get into a rhythm, you seem to go forward a lot.
Yeah,
are you finding that now with the car? Are you enjoying that car?
Yeah, I am totally. It's slightly different to the others. It seems to suffer from a little bit of understeer, but you can tune that out. And like you said, as soon as I get into a rhythm with it, it's brilliant. As soon as my rhythm gets broken, I find I'm struggling slightly.
So, that qualifying lap was brilliant. It was real sensational lap. We watched it. I saw all the split sectors as well. You just kept going faster and faster. But races 2 and 3, obviously ballast, and it was 45 kilograms. And I think I'm right in saying you've never run with 45 this season.
No, not at all. When I went out on the warm-up and I thought, what the hell's wrong with the car? Oh, yeah, I've got ballast. And then I looked at how much I had, because I hadn't really paid much attention. I was focused on the racing. And, normally when I get a bit of ballast, I'm struggled, but it didn't seem to bother the car too much on this.
But again, it's a greght result. For yourself as well. Races 2 and 3, action-packed as always, is the way I would describe them. We'll just leave it at that. But again, I think one of the big things I think that they struggled on, that I would say, was the hairpin. The second hair, well, it's the only hairpin, because turns 3 and 4 are technically a right and a right. Again, there's lots of bunching there, but it wasn't malicious. It was just purely because you're coming up to slower cars with earlier braking, and then everyone just kind of concertina together, and it was tappy tap tap.
Yeah, I know what incident you're talking about. That was right at the end, and it's unavoidable sometimes. If the car in front's taking a defensive line and slowed right up, you get the knock-on effect.
And it really struggles.
Which turns into knocking as well, yeah.
It's one of those, really.
Yeah, at the time you're not happy, but like once you've thought about it and realised it's been a really good race, you kind of just enjoy it.
Which again, absolutely brilliant stuff. Hopefully, we'll see more of that speed next week, which will be a track Nagalia. I can't remember. I've never raced there. I don't even know where it is, so I'll figure it out when I get there. But. So that'll be really exciting. I just want to talk to your teammate Alex Ward before I go to Lee. I think it's Lee Horn. Alex, nice to join us, Alex. Again,
how we doing?
Nice to see you again after your race victory at Laguna Seca, which you owe a lot to Fraser Rostance for. Again, just pointing that out while he's here. Tonight again, real speed in that little Peugeot. Qualified 4th, I think it was.
It was, yeah. That was my best one of the season. And again, I've said it before, I owe it to Fraser with the setups of the car. He just put something together, I turn up and go for it. But I feel like tonight I've given him a little bit of a help back with keeping some of the faster guys at bay, and certainly in the first race. So,
I mean,
yeah.
you found a real rhythm there in that Peugeot, and it seems to have developed through the season. If I cast back to Brands Hatch, it was a little, I say wayward, I think would be the polite way I'd put that, a little bit wayward, and you seem to have settled into the car. Is it a track, are these just tracks you prefer, or are you just getting used to the car, basically?
I don't know what happened in that qualifying, it just came together and worked, but no, I think the rhythm of the car is certainly coming together. Like I say, Fraser's really good at dialing out its niggles, and it's probably not quite as nimble as some of the others, but hey, once you're into that race, you don't tend to notice. You're in the moment. So
I mean, which is again I find absolutely amazing, because for a little Peugeot, best sounding car on the grid, I'd say. I like it when it goes onto the overrun.
Yeah, it's good.
It loses out at the top end, and again I saw that with when you're attacking the Clios, not the Clios, the Hondas, is that when you get towards the Honda, when that Honda gets into fifth, it just goes forward.
Yeah.
But Sector 2, and I've been watching it all night, both, I think at one point, you were fastest in Sector 2, especially in qualifying.
Okay, interesting.
And it was fast. It was not even slow, it was fast.
Yeah, it's. I think, like you say, once you get it on a straight, it's hurting, and as soon as that's the first time I've run the car with any significant weight, and you really knew about it. Just everyone coming up behind you on the straights, they were coming, and you just have to go defensive straight away. But it seems to hold itself through the corners.
Which is, you seem to have really found it. I mean, how are you finding it? Again, I think I'd be right in saying this is the maximum ballast you've ever carried this season. I don't know about previous seasons, but this season, how did you find it? Was it the same as Fraser's found it? Is that you got in the car and went, who put a dead person in the boot?
A little bit, yeah. It's obviously the main thing was affecting the braking points, because there's so many fast straights at Suzuka that you find yourself braking that a little bit earlier than you'd like to. And that takes a bit of getting used to. I think at one point I misjudged it and I did actually tap Fraser, so
it's all right,
nearly speared him into the oblivion.
It's all right, it's your teammate.
Yeah, that's what we were on comms. So that was dealt with quite quickly.
It's your teammate, doesn't matter. It's fine. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, so race 2 and race 3, you really you found your pace in race 2. Race 3, obviously, you've always been a master of race 3. Just when you look at your average finishing positions, and again, race victory this season from race 3, always in top 5 in race 3. Did you find that because you were front of race 1, and I'm not saying that disrespectfully, is that traditionally you're not in the top 5 in race 1.
Yeah.
You normally top 10. Around the top 10. Did you find that because you were higher up in race 1, it changed your mentality in 2 and 3 because you had that ballast on board? Or it was just like, turn up, drive it?
No, I think a little bit of both ways, to be honest with you. Like there's the element of a little bit of pressure because you're like, well, I'm not used to driving a car with any weight on, so how's this going to go? But by the same token, we were lucky. We've done really well between us. We've got Leanne, Fraser, and Jeff thrown in the mix as well. So we were all, the next gen boys were all together. So we sort of, herd mentality, and we ran as a pack. And when you've got the boys around you, you're okay.
Well, I think that and I think as we've seen this season, I think we touched on it last time we spoke. It's so competitive.
It's ridiculous.
And as I've always said, as I said in my commentary, Alex Everett for me used to be the barometer, just because he'd won the most races.
Yeah.
Pavel's turned up; he's winning races. You've got, you've won a race. Fraser, I don't think Fraser's won one yet, but he's right on the cusp.
It won't be long.
Won't be long. Lee's won races. You've got Michael's. Everyone in that top area is winning races, and it's all points now. It all comes down to these points. And are you finding that when you're in the pack, you've got to make a decision of who? Are you at a point where you go, well, who are we going to win? Who's going to win? Who's going to go forward? Because obviously you're winning CA2, but you're not winning it by enough at the moment.
No. To be honest, I think we just run it as we see fit. You know, we were all bunched together quite a lot in most of those races, and if one of us has a bit of a wobble and another one can take advantage, the other will just back off. Sometimes it works in your favour, sometimes it doesn't. I backed off, I think, in race 2 to let Fraser by, and Pavel came straight through with him, which didn't work in my favour. But you know, the greater good and all that. So yeah.
I mean, Pavel got a disqualification in race 3. He ran out of points on the last corner.
Interesting.
But it happens. It's one of those things that happen. You know, it's part, like I've said, it's part of managing the incidents, the points this season. So thank you very much. I'm just going to go across to Lee, as if Lee can hear me.
Evening, yes, can do.
Hi Lee, nice to speak to you. Welcome to the commentary box. Honda, obviously running the Honda this season. Your teammate wasn't there, your official teammate, Mr. Dory.
Yes.
The man you get stuck behind.
Yes, well, indeed. Well, I don't mind that. He's a quick old boy, but I'm going to give him a quick shout out that can give you the reason why he's not here. Sadly, he got run over by a car yesterday, so he's got a. Well, it's not as serious as I'm making it sound, but he was recovering a car, and unfortunately, somebody didn't keep control of it, and it rolled over his foot and then in his leg, and he was in hospital yesterday. But thankfully, he's resting up. Might even be listening now. So if he is, he's going to get better soon. But unfortunately, he just couldn't race tonight. So get well soon, Jamie.
That's a shame.
He'll tell us all about it, I'm sure.
But hang on a minute. Is his foot in a cast? Because I'm sure you can push the pedal. Thankfully it's not, but he was in a lot of discomfort. Nothing's broken, it's just sprained and ligament damage and stuff, so he's got to rest for 4 or 5 days and keep off of it. So well, hopefully we'll be back next week to keep you behind him, and or the other way round, whichever way it is. So I just want to touch you on that Honda tonight again. Couple of incidents obviously we put on stream as well, but the Honda, you seem to have really connected with that Honda. You just seem to be able to brake later than everybody.
Yeah, it came into its own today. I've got to be honest, I sort of fell out with the car and race room a little bit over the last couple of rounds, and I just couldn't find my feet. And you probably saw, I just wasn't up the sharper end than where I like and expect to be. But I've come out tonight, and the Honda just felt so strong, even with the weight. I was just coming through the pack and picking what I class as my rivals in the championship, in them off. It was very hard work. They were all racing really well. A couple of tight sort of moments, I think, between us, but it was respectful as it could be. There's certainly no malice for me, and I don't push people out intentionally in any way. If there was one on their hairpin, I think I was understeering and trying to pull it in as best I could. I think there was one. I can't remember who it was with, but the Honda tonight. Brilliant. I've thoroughly enjoyed tonight. Fallen back in love with race room and the car with some really good results. Yeah.
Because the Honda is a very tricky car to drive. There's only one guy I know. I think I've spoken to you before about this. There's only one guy I know that can drive the Honda fast, and that's a guy called Mike Bullen. He doesn't drive in race room anymore, sadly, but he's the only driver I've ever seen that can drive that Honda and drive it fast, really fast. That you'd go, I don't know how he does it. He's got to be cheating. But he loves his Hondas. He's a Honda man through and through. But like I said today, you could just brake later. You could carry more speed. You just seem to be connected. So, when you got in tonight, again, a very good qualifying position as well. Did you just turn up and go, I can just go fast? Or was it a case of, I'll just see how it goes and put it like that? And then was that part of the mentality that helped? Or was it just care less, go faster, or was it, I'm just going to try it?
Well, to be honest, I came into tonight not touching race room since last week and on a bit of a downer because it was a really poor round in my own head. So, and I just didn't know how I was going to perform, but I've stuck on the same setup I've had from 2 tracks ago. I can't remember what it was now. Was it Zandvoort?
Yeah. Zandvoort was last week. Laguna Seca was before that.
Laguna Seca. So I've got Jamie's my engineer. He does the setups, and I've got his setup on from Laguna. And I literally came on at 7:45 or whatever it was. First time I turned some laps, and it felt okay. And I thought, right, well, let's just get my head down and understand the corners, the speed, the pace, etc. And it just seemed to sort of come together quite nicely through the hour and a half's practice. And then I was like, well, do you know what? I'm carrying 25 already. Don't worry about the weight and see how we get on in quali. I was 2.5 tenths up in my last lap, which I ended up throwing away. But it wouldn't have beat Pavel's. Was it Pavel's pole time?
Pavel was fast, 121.
Yeah, so yeah, I would have been just behind him, but I'd have pipped Fraser, I think, to second. So it didn't really matter. So then, yeah, the race was Fraser and I were in the chat together, and it was like, right, we're not going to battle. Let's keep Pavel in touch. And to be fair, them two were a little bit quicker than me after about 4 or 5 laps. Kept making little mistakes. I knew I wasn't being pressured behind, so I just sort of kept trying to catch them and see if they fell over each other or whatever, and it ended up just sort of staying where it was. It wasn't too bad.
And I think that's the thing. I think you touched on it there perfectly. We're not talking big distances now. I mean, you look at Fraser and yourself, Fraser, Alex, and Pavel in race 1. And I did a bit of analysis on turn 5, and if you watch the stream back, and it was Fraser versus Pavel, and the distance on that corner. It's the not the corner before the bridge, the one before that, before you go under the bridge, and the difference is 2 centimetres. It's nothing, but the reaction of the car, Pavel jumps the car, Fraser jumps the car, but Fraser jumps the car literally, you're talking half a metre higher, and he loses by the time the car settles, he's 2 car lengths behind, whereas at one point he was half a car length behind. And that's what we're down to now. And I think that's where Pavel, obviously he is an esports driver, but that's where Pavel's consistency is. I don't think he's fast, but he's very consistent, and you can see it on the lap time. I can see it on my lap boards when I look at his consistency is like 99.3%. But you're still there. I mean, that's why yourself and Fraser, you can be done.
Yeah.
So I've got high hopes that I can see that race victory coming. It's going to be there. But again, in terms of that Honda as well, in terms of your race 2 and 3, race 3 specifically, I mean, it's 15 car reversal, and obviously with the 20 car spread, it's a lot shorter. Again, was it you just picked people off? I mean, did you enjoy that? Again, a little bit of contact, as you'll always get. But was it again a case of, I'm just going to turn up and I'm just going to pick these people off because I can brake faster and I can accelerate faster?
Oh yeah, definitely. After the success of qualifying, and then race 1 was sort of like a nice ride. I was sort of trying to pressure a little bit at the start. I then gained confidence. I came into race 2 and then 3 with the same mindset, and that is, I can gain some places here. Let's go out and attack in a safe way to not mess things up, and apply pressure where necessary and see how we go. And to get the 2 podiums in race 1 and 2, and then to pull 10 positions on a reverse 15, I was over the moon with that in the end. And the battle in between us, I mean, going back to race 2, when we came into the turns 2 and 3, the double right-hander, I don't know what happened, whether Pavel dived up late, up the inside of Poddy or whatever, and they all went wide. And I ended up coming around the inside of all of them, level with... I think it was it Norton on the left, and he then tried to turn to take the apex, and I'm like, oh yeah, where do I go, sort of thing, and I ended up pulling through, and took the lot of them, which was just unbelievable. That was a great feeling that I capitalised on their battling and get the 2 podiums. So I was really confident that I had pace in the car, and that I could put it where I wanted it. So I thought I'm really going to have a good go here, and I'm really pleased to finish in front of all my rivals, and hopefully I've done it in a fair and respectful, competitive way. So that's always my goal, anyway.
I was staggered to see you in my mirror in race. Really, that was ace.
I mean, but the thing is, it's one of those things. I think, and again, this is for all 3. I think this is the thing: is that where the championship. I mean, I've only commentated on it from part of last season to this season, but even the step change from last season to this season is so much more competitive. Is that you're talking. 100%. And again, this is just me observing. I could be wrong, but I've watched Crest for a long time, and the spread was quite big. Now you're talking not that very big, which means if you make one mistake, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars go past.
Oh yeah.
And you can't catch that next group. Really, you end up fighting with them. Are you finding that? Again, it's open to all 3 of you. Are you finding that as well? We're enjoying it, I have to admit. I do enjoy it, and the friends I talk with outside of Crest, we spend a lot of time looking at the racing, and they love it. But what's it like actually in it in the battles?
It's awesome. It's
Yep.
the most addictive thing you can come across, pretty much.
It's great. It gets the dopamine flowing for sure.
Well, this
For those who are at home, dopamine is a natural chemical in the brain. It's
Yes.
not. Please don't report me.
No.
I think this is what sim racing is all about, the buzz of having a battle, whether it's for 5th, 6th, 7th, 15th or 1st. If you're having that battle, you come off at the end of the race, you get off your sim and you're buzzing, you really enjoyed it, and that's what it's about. For me, the podiums are bonuses. You know, I'm fortunate that I can be reasonably quick at times. I'm not the quickest, and so I'll celebrate massively, like tonight, 2/3 and a 5th. And that was fantastic, absolutely amazing, and to do it with my fellow racers from Next Gen was really cool. So yeah, buzzing.
As you say, Lee, it's you just the positions are a byproduct really. It's just if you have a really really good battle with somebody and you swap in positions, whether you come out of it in the other end of a wall, it doesn't matter. If you've had a good race, good battle, you come away reasonably happy.
Yeah,
And I think that's what we're seeing this season, to be honest. And I think the change to the hatchbacks was brilliant. I think it's just made for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Lincoln Co. It's the best looking car. It should win everything. That's my opinion. But I love the little hatchbacks. They just seem to be. They've got so much more. I don't know if it's the same as well, but they're all good at different things in a much bigger way.
Yeah, they feel like they're all fairly close together, to be honest. With some of the newer cars like the Elantra and the Lincoln Co. Versus some of the hatchbacks, they were just on another level. But these seem to be quite close.
So
The Cooper is the king. It's good all rounder, it is, and just slightly. I think it's slightly quicker than most of the cars, but I don't actually like it. It's just a weird thing.
which
I do think it was.
The
Sorry.
Cooper's a bit odd. The Cooper's a bit odd because I think for me the Cooper's fastest. I don't know if you played Project Cars 2, but everyone drove the Renault because it was the best. It was the easiest. You could just drive it fast. I even looked good driving that thing.
Oh, yeah,
And
the Renault was, wasn't it? Yeah,
But then
I did
slowly
learn that.
towards the end of the life of Project Cars 2, in the mainstream, the BMW and Opel started beating all the records. So it's a bit like, I think the Cooper is the one everyone drives, but I don't necessarily think it's the fastest. I think if you can find one of the other ones and you're fast, it's faster. I think it's just a good all rounder, like you say, and you can go fast in it, so it's the easiest to go fastest in.
Yeah,
But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm probably wrong.
Spa, I think that's going to be Cooper and Honda track.
Honda.
That's
Anyone
my-
who's in a
that's my-
Honda, I think, is going to win it. And that's
Yeah.
my 50p automatically. Because when they go up Eau Rouge, they'll be in 6th gear and they'll wave politely out the window and they will disappear into the distance.
I don't think we
it's
have
got
Friday
a couple of kilometres an hour. The Cooper's got the highest top end, but the Honda gets to its top end quicker. I noticed this at Daytona. I was driving a Cooper, and it was being left behind by the Honda. But by the end of the straight, I was in the slipstream, and I'd had a few extra kilometres an hour on top to be able to pass with.
See, that's going to be interesting. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah,
But I think the Honda, for me, I think I put my money on the Honda.
Yeah, it is a quick
So
car.
what you need to do is get your buddies, your other next gen buddies, to give you a lift.
Oh, you'll be seeing me tucking right up behind them for that picture. I was trying it at Watkins Glen because I was defenceless pretty much.
Yeah,
I think we'll be out for a tourist drive at Spa, mate, to be honest.
you can park at the top of Eau Rouge, get yourself a burger, and just watch them go past.
Yeah.
There goes another one. But I think, but again, it's one of those things, isn't it? I mean, it's different cars are better at different tracks. I mean, they just are. It's just the nature of the
On
game.
the south as well. I've put quite a high rake on this Peugeot for tracks with the hairpins. So and that detracts from your top end speed and your straight line speed. Because if you slap the car right on the floor, it unless it's hitting bumps, it's much quicker. And I kind of like that because it follows with what real life physics do.
So what you're saying is for Spa, you're going to lower it?
Oh, it'd be on the deck.
Fraser Rustand's giving away all of his secrets.
Well, that's what we think is going to happen.
I didn't think it was a secret. I learned it off somebody.
You too can have a Fraser Rustand set up for $4.99. I'm joking.
Or you can listen to the stream and get some tips, whichever one you want. So, just before I close off, next week, obviously we're off to Nagaro. I'm going to get that.
Nagaro GP, yes.
GP. Thoughts on that one before I close off for the evening? You looking forward to it? Not looking forward to it?
I can't wait.
Pav already has an advantage. I was watching his stream the other day, and he was doing a league race there, so he's already done a few laps. I haven't even bought the track yet, so I'm going to do that now and have a look at what it's all about.
I can't wait. It's a great circuit. It's a brilliant track.
It did look nice. So looking forward to it.
Yourself, Lee?
Yeah, like Fraser, I have been on it for a long time. I've just had a quick look at it, and it's got some nice long straights. So I'm already thinking confidence here. This Honda I'm hoping the Honda will do well because I've got my rear wing setting on pancake flat. So hopefully we'll be catching some quick speed down there. And
you're going to lower the rake, right?
Well, I'll have to speak to my engineer Jamie if his legs are well enough to do me a setup. Albeit, I'm going to try this one from Laguna because it's doing me really well. So
if it works and you go fast, don't break it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way to do it. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you, Fraser, Lee, and Alex for joining me again. Enjoy your evenings, and I will catch you at the next one.
It's been a pleasure.
Nice.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Andy.
guys.
Cheers.
Well, there we are. That's it for another week. Once again, that's it for another week. Thank you for joining me for the stream. I hope you've enjoyed it. Plenty of talking points, as always. And just remember, I only ever look at things in my analysis on the camera angle I've got. There are plenty of different things to look at, plenty of different views, plenty of different opinions, as always. And that's one of those things. That's just what the stewards are for, not us. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I said, I'll be back same time, same place next week. We're at Nagaro Ring GP. Never been there. Looking forward to it. Who am I going to put who is going to be race 1? I don't know. Because I don't know the rest of the drivers if they've raced there. I hope you've enjoyed it, and good evening.